Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am LaMeel the Priestess. Welcome to LaMeel Magic. And this is a video that I have been waiting a long time to do. Okay, so mainly because one, I had to save candles from all of my candle work, or from a lot of my candle work. I'm trying to get comfortable here on the floor, and I'm at my daughter's house, and there's nobody here. And finally, I've got all these candles with me that I have been waiting um, to do this video. And my cats are here with her cat, and all that noise you hear in the background are them. Actually, those are my two cats playing Midnight and Fury. So anyway, I have all these candles, and then I realized as I was preparing for this is that I never kept a perfect candle. I have been doing all of this, saving all of these slightly less than perfect lightings to create this video because for you that are new, first, please forgive my fucked up finger. I need to get it fixed. But for all of you that are new, I really, really enjoy, excuse me, setting lights or using candle magic. Excuse me. I am a true fire starter. So I do a lot of candle work in manifesting, setting intentions for my spiritual growth. Jesus. And if you have been with me for a while, particularly on my other channel, which the link will be below this video, you'll know that for me, a lot of magic, manifesting, spiritual work, it's all pretty much the same, right? So I use the candles to help me focus my attention. And I just started setting lights for others, which is how I was able to accumulate these different varieties of examples. But because I've got 8 kids, 2 grandkids, 2 cats, and a whole other life, I really, and I have, let me just say, and I have burnt down so much shit. I have burnt holes through tables, into, like, it melted through the table into the floor, burnt a hole in the floor, started leaking through into the basement. Like, I have set shit aflame. I've had the fire trucks at my house multiple times over the last 20 years. So I do most of my working in glass now, right? And my preference is 7-day, although I do use 3-day or 4-day. My preference is 7-day. So a lot of these are going to be the 4 days or the 7-day candles. All of these will be one or the others for you to review and me to show you some examples. So the very first thing I want to talk about, and I don't think I'm just cleaning some energy out of here. Again, like I said, I'm at my daughter's house, and I wanted to take this opportunity to get rid of these candles that I have been lugging around. So let's just take a look at a real basic candle, right? So the front of the candle, you decide, depending on if you buy it. Now, I don't buy candles with wraps on them, with other things on them. I apply my own sigils and markings and writings and prayers to my candles. I don't purchase them pre-done. However, if you do, of course, you set what the front is, what the back is, so that you know the position of your candle. So get out a piece of paper and a pen, because you're going to want to note this so that you can go back and start looking at your candles. So the front of your candle, right? So for me, it's facing me. So this would be the front of the candle. And the front of the candle represents your physical, mental, emotional situation. Your back of the candle is non-physical things. The right of the candle The left of the candle is the past, the right of the candle is the future. I know that's probably backwards for you, but just take note of that, okay? So left is the past, right is the future. The front is your physical, emotional, mental situation, and the back is anything non-physical, okay? So that gives you some orientation, which is, I think, very much similar to other types of candles. So the first thing I want to show you is, let me find some rings. As a matter of fact, since I have this here, I'm going to go with this. So you see how crystal clear this is, right? This is almost ideal. It does have a ring at the bottom. We'll talk about that. But in terms of clarity, that is a beautiful burning candle, right? And that is basically ideal, especially if it didn't have the ring at the bottom. For example, this doesn't have a lot of wax at the bottom, and it burned really, really clean. This has something else I'm going to talk about, but that's your ideal, right? Crystal clear. Crystal clear all the way to the bottom, nothing at the bottom. That's ideal. Your second ideal situation is a burn like this, right? Where it's burnt all the way, almost nothing at the bottom. It would be better if it had zero. And again, I was saving issue candles. If these cats knock over a light, I swear to God, they are doing the most right now. And I'm gonna spray them. So this that you see in here, there's two things that this can be. This can either be wax or it can be a white smoke. And the way that you determine the difference is by putting your hand in there. Okay, so if you put your hand in and so I just rubbed right there and you see how that spot cleared up. Let me move that. Okay, let's see if I can, let me do it this way. You see how that, there you go. That's how you know this is white smoke. White smoke is an indication that spirit is helping you. Spirit approves of this work. It's great, right? It's a good omen. It means that you're getting some help. So if it's not crystal clear, meaning it's gone through, everything's good, no worries, then you would want it to have a clean burn like this with the white smoke in it. White smoke is a positive sign, and it means that the spirits are indeed helping you. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is this is a relatively clean burn, right? And we're going to talk about the bottoms of candles at the end, but this is a relatively clean burn. What you see here are rings. Can you see these? Yeah, there you go. You see those rings? And these rings for this one looks like they go all the way around. And then up here, like these rings right here, don't go all the way around, but these down here do. So rings. Rings stand for two things. Rings stand for, they're both measure of time. Rings that go all the way around are usually days, weeks, maybe months, but rarely in my experience. And so if you were to count, this one has like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this one had 10 full rings on it at the bottom. And one, that's a half ring. Okay, so 10 full rings, which means for this to complete, this working, it's about 10 days. 10 days, 10 weeks, the 10th of a month. 10 is the operable number. And depending on the workings and all of the details surrounding it, you kind of know if it's going to be the 10th, 10 weeks, 10 days. And like I said, rarely do I get 10 months. Half rings means that there is some type of half rings or broken rings, sometimes they refer to as broken rings, are delays or situations that need to be addressed. And they're also a measure of time. Okay, so here I've got three, four, like six broken rings. So in addition to my 10 rings that I know are giving me a time frame, I have six broken rings. So what the six broken rings mean, the broken rings mean those are issues that need to be resolved. So there's different things that are happening that are going to need to be resolved and possibly delay. And the delay, the length of the delay is indicated by the number of those broken or half rings. So if I have five half rings, and that means that there's five different issues, it's going to take at least another 5 days, 5 weeks, in addition to the full rings. Does that make sense? So in this case, I have 10 full rings, five half rings. So I would say 15 days or the 15th of the month. But because they're not just full rings and I have a combination of both, it's almost always days, sometimes weeks. So, and rarely it's the day of the month. I don't normally get them that way, but some of you may, depending on how spirit works with you, right? So for me, it's days. I have a tendency to do a lot of quantum jumping, and so I tend to be several days to a week ahead in my work. So so that's how I know for me it's almost always days. So anyway, I would be looking at about 15 days for the completion of this work. So we talked about the good smoke. Now, here's another situation where this looks like, this one is, in fact, and this is another, it's got at the bottom, but another indication of spirit is helping, okay? So that's the smoke, white smoke. But sometimes you have this, okay? And this, I'm trying to get to it, but it's not white smoke. It is wax. This is a wax buildup on, I'm seeing something, a wax buildup on the actual candle. So when there's wax, this cat is driving me crazy. So when you have white wax, I have a girl and a boy, and they are just, should be sleeping, you would think, but they're gonna be fixed. They're on their way to the vet. So, where were we? Went over white smoke, white clouding. So when you have white clouding and you rub it and it doesn't come off, that's your indication that it is white clouding. And that means that there's something hidden. There's something else going on. There is something unknown or unseen having to do with this situation. The only way, and I want to also really clarify that the only way that you really know what that is is that when you set lights, you are very specific about your intention, that you are very clear about what you're setting lights for, so that when the person who sets lights for you, or you're doing it yourself, when you go, oh my God, there's something I don't know about this situation, but you have no idea what this was really about, or you don't have a high level of clarity, you can't figure it out. You know what I'm saying? It's not something that you can work out. The idea of reading this is to learn, okay, I've read this. Is this going through? Is there more I need to do? Do I need to make, some type of adjustment? And so when you have white smoke means that there's something hidden, something unknown, something you do not know about the situation. Now let's see. Let's talk about this. Okay, so this is the most common, and everybody knows, oh my gosh, we don't want black smoke. And I really like, I've been saving this video for like 2 months, these candles for 2 months. And I wish I would have had a third example, but this is definitely a no-no. So with black smoke, how far it runs down the candle and how dark it is determines what's going on. I did have one that was a lot darker. I mean, it was like pitch black, but by the time it got to the bottom, it broke. So, and actually it was pitch black at the top, it got light in the middle, it cleared up at the bottom, and then it broke. But for what work was going on, I wanted it to break. Breaking was a positive sign that what was happening happened. So in this case, these are as dark as I could get it, and those look pretty dark, right? Especially that one. Look at that. Okay. So with this one in particular, see how far it's come down? If it is dark more than 50% of the way down, then there is there's a fighting back going on. So let me step back for a minute. When you have black smoke indicates resistance, blockage, and fighting against. All right. And then how far down it goes lets you know whether or not the spell works. This spell, this intention, this lighting did not work for this situation at all. Why? Because it's relatively dark and it did not start to clear until the bottom half. And then, of course, we have a nice solid ring all the way around, which we'll talk about that in a minute. But the fact that it burned black more than 50% the way down says this has to be redone. Okay. This one, on the other hand, do you see how it was dark? And it was pretty dark at the top, right? But it started to get lighter, and then it got lighter and lighter and lighter. So this one did not, this one busted through. This one lets you know it was clear at the bottom, but it wasn't until the very end did this spell start to work, which means it needed to be reset. And in that case, it was reset here. And as you can see, a lot less resistance moving through this. However, there was still enough resistance for how I work that it was reset and done again and then clarified, right? So when you have black smoke, it indicates resistance, blockage, fighting against. If you have fluctuating black smoke, it usually means that there's something, blocking that situation, like emotions or money, something that will fluctuate about whatever that situation is. If it's more than halfway down, then something is fighting it, which means it could be like this could have been another spell, okay? Or another person's heavy set intention, which is just like a spell. If you get something that is completely black, it's a good indication that it is physically impossible. Like if you're asking someone to come see you or something like that, and they're in the hospital or they've passed away, or it's something completely impossible, or something much more powerful is at work than you, and you need to do some other type of work. So when you get a black candle, typically I would say, especially see how this cleared up, I'd be like, okay, what is this situation fully about? Let's break this down into smaller segments, because this is just, we're trying to do too much. And then we can see through the working if there's a blockage or something in one particular area, and then we can hone in on that, correct it, and then get what you ultimately were wanting in that other candle, or whatever that initial candle was left for. So now I want to talk about wax at the bottom, and a lot of these have wax at the bottom, and I kept a shit ton of wax at the bottom. So remember in the beginning when I told you that, you know, left is the past, the right is the future, the back is your physical, emotional, mental, and the front is physical. So when you're looking at the bottom ring of a candle, because ideally there would be no ring, okay, this has almost no ring, right? But you can see there's a little bit of wax. So let's look at, based on this orientation for this candle means that there's something in the back and to the left. So there's some past physical or emotional issues that are lingering, okay? And I would tell this person that they would probably need to do, what was this candle for? They would probably need to do some work that has to do with their emotional past. Okay, because this was, I can't actually remember, but that's that would be what my recommendation is. This here, so this is oil, intention oil that was set in there. But you see how this is pretty solid all the way around. What this is telling me is that this person, or in order for this worked, okay? This helped a lot, but there's some lingering issues that are emotional, mental, physical, that are probably stemming from the past, because when it completely circles, I always feel it's coming from the past because it's over there, right? So it's coming from the past. It is affecting your future and everything in your life. So you need to do more self-work, more spiritual work. Usually that equates to massive self-love work, okay? This one, let's take a look at the orientation of this candle. Okay, so as you see, it's all clear here. It's barely anything in the back, but there's some past issues. All right, so what this candle was representing, they need to work on some stuff that was going on in the past. There's no wax from inside here or into the future. So the more that they work on some physical, or, and I actually don't think it's physical, some more mental, emotional issues from the past, it's all a go, right? It burnt good. It's got white smoke, and you just keep working at this, right? And then maybe set the light again after at least 3 to 10 days of work. This candle, this candle was for a baby. Okay, so look at there. That's quite interesting. There's nothing in the front, like almost nothing. It looks like it from that side, and it's underneath that, but looking down from inside and the proper orientation of this candle, there's nothing in the front, right? So there's no non-physical issues going on. Your future is almost clear of wax, almost clear. But there are physical, mental, emotional issues from the past that is hindering this baby making process. The baby is clearly on the way. There is white smoke in here. Spirit is helping. As you can see, this is the candle that we had some delays in. And this is one of those few candles where those delays were weeks, not days. But if I'm doing the working, I truly know. but the majority of the wax here is in the back. It's all up here in the back. And so there's a lot of physical, mental, emotional things going on. So my suggestion was one, do based on the number of rings we had, start with a 2-week cleanse, do some mirror work, right? And some evening self-love, affirmational EFT work. And then when we set this again, it burned beautifully clear. And I tried not to keep candle working. So because I knew I wanted to do this video, I was keeping stuff that did not work. And I may add some photos, come back and edit this video and add some photos of some crystal clear work just so that you could see what that's like. So this, I'm looking for the orientation. Okay, so this orientation, this one's smaller. Let's see. But the bulk, this wax is really, really thick on this end, right? It's mostly past stuff. It does go all the way around, but it's mostly past stuff. If you work and release whatever is in your past that is still a trigger, you'll be okay. I always suggest 1 to 2 weeks before we reset. Okay. This is one that is so thick. Can you, I don't know if you can even see how thick. Look at that, up on the sides. This, what do you want, kitty? This, when it's thick and it's basically covered the whole, no, it's basically covered the whole bottom, right? When it's thick like this one is even a better example. It's all thick, right? It's completely covered. It's not just a rim. It's not powerful enough. The work just was not powerful enough. This one, virtually the same way. You could there's oil in there, but this is basically telling you it wasn't powerful enough. And see how thick that is on this black candle? It cleared out in the middle, but around the rim, it's still pretty thick. Look at that. It's still pretty thick. What that means is that this particular work was not powerful enough for what it is that was trying to be done. Here's another example of rings and delays and wax. Like this is rings. There's delays here. There's broken rings, there's full rings, and there's thick chunk of wax at the bottom. This is not powerful enough. There's lots of delays, and there's information unknown about that work. So I'm trying to make sure I cover everything. Those are all the candles that I have for you, all the examples thus far. And I hope this helps. One of the other situations that I often find, I'll use this as an example. If I set lights on something, this is outside, that's not inside, right? And wax, so say the candle is lit and the candle starts to burn down. So maybe the candle is here, but right in the front, there is wax buildup, or it's on the side or whatever, but there's some wax buildup. Now remember, the wax buildup is usually an indication of a delay. So if I see that there is a delay pending, because it doesn't go all the way around, it's usually patchy. Okay, and I get those for myself sometimes as well. It's a patch of wax, but it's an indication that there is a delay, and depending on where it is, I often work with clients and with myself to do the work while the working is going on. Hey, we've got a patchy delay. due to something in your past. So based on what this working is for, right? We start to do that work while the candle burns. And guess what? It clears. It will clear. If you do the work while the candle is burning, that delay, even if the delay is just a broken ring, if you do the work and you've done enough work and it's something that is in your path that you have control over, that ring, that delay will disappear and allow the working to go without any further delays. So I hope this helps you. I would love to know how you read candles. If you have suggestions, if you have questions, if you want to put pictures of your candles down below, I'll be glad to share my thoughts with that on it with you. If you'd like to join the Lux and Life community, if you want to contact me, I am much more responsive on Instagram because I'm on there at least twice a day. All of the links are below. Thank you so much for tuning in and joining me on this candle reading video, and I will see you guys in the next video.